Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to meet you today. I hope you stay healthy and spirit for the day. Let me introduce myself. My name is Irma. My number is 2002311 I'm from Development Economic Department at Trunajaya Madura University. And this is opportunity I would like to present about modern and classical economic problem. Before I convey the content of my materials, I want you to know what I will discuss. There are 5. Firstly, I want describe about definition of economic problems. 2. Definition of modern and classical economic problems. 3. Covers modern and economics problem. 4. Cover classical economic problems. Lastly, difference in modern and classical economic problems. Before I share my presentation, I will you a question. Do you know about modern and classical economic problems? If you do not know about modern and classical problem, I can explain you. But firstly, I want you to know about definition of economic problems. The economic problems is the limited resource compared to the various and uncontrolled human needs. The existence of increasingly complex needs in society creates increasingly high social dependence. The essence of economic problems is all kind of problems and difficult relates to the economy. The development of human civilization from time to time raised two categories of economic problem is modern and classical economic problems. And before I explain about modern and classical economic problem, I want you to know factor of economic problems. 1. Natural resource. 2. Human resource. 3. Working capital. 4. Distribution process. And 5. Consumption level. And there is modern economic problems and classical economics problems. Modern economic problems is problem faced by the economic cycle in a more complex scope. Not only a simple production process, but also how to get raw materials for process. And classical economic problems. Classical economic problem is problem involving a bit of simple economic cycle, such as the production, distribution, and consumption of good products. The economic cycle changes with the time. And in here, I can explain about covers modern economic problem. Economic problem modern have 3 problems. 1. What problem, how problem, and when problems. Firstly, what problem? Consumer demand or society is the main determinant that affect how much goods will be produced. If the amount of consumer demand increases, then the price will automatically tend to rise and make producer gain more profit. This will influence the decision to increase the production quota. Conversely, if public demand decreases, prices will tend to fall too and have an impact on profit, so that the producers will reduce their production quota. And 2. How problems. The price movement of factor of production determine the combination that producer use in their production process. The price movement of the production factor will determine how to available economic research. Our factor of production must be used to produce goods. If the price of production factor rises, producer will save on the use of this production factor and use other production factor. And 3. One problems. The price movement of goods and the price of factor of production will determine the distribution of goods produced. For whom these goods are produced is highly influenced by the distribution of the good or service. The goods or service produced are sold to consumer, where consumer pay the price of these goods from their income on the use of production factor. For classical economic problem, have three problems. 1. Production problem. 2. Distribution problem. 3. Consumption problem. Production problem is producing goods or services that aim to meet human or consumer needs. This is the goal as well as the motivation to carry out production activity. However, not all human needs can be met. Human needs will be fulfilled if the consumer's good or service according to his needs, even though goods or services will only be available if they are produced. 2. Distribution problems. Distribution is the activity of distributing goods or services from production to consumer. The flow of distribution of these goods or services can be carried out directly or through intermediaries in trade. Distribution has three functions, namely the function of exchange to physical provision and support. The factors that affect the distribution channel are the market, good, company, and buyer safety. And lastly, consumption problems is the activity of using, spending, or utilizing goods produced by producer. There are two factors that influence consumption activity, namely internal factor, including attitude, personality, self-motivation, one's income, taste, and character. External factor, including culture, custom, social status, family, community, and government. And lastly, I want to explain about difference in modern and classical economic problems. Classical economic problems is the production process continue while the raw materials are increasingly difficult to obtain. And modern economic problems, raw materials are hard to come, absence of substitutes, production must see the tendency of consumer preference which tends to change in modern society. And 2. The distribution process is uneven. This is due to regional constraints that are difficult to access. In modern economic is product innovation, product creativity, competition is getting tougher. And classical economic problems, the level of public consumption is still high because people needs are simple. And modern economic problems is the growth of various communities makes it difficult to determine the target market. And 2. Business planning that is not carried out carefully will result in business failure in economic activity. So that is all about my presentation. In conclusion, in Indonesia today have two economic problems, is modern and classical economic problem. In each of this problem has its own problem. For modern economic problem have what, how, and whom problem, and classical economic problem have production, distribution, and consumption problem. Thank you very much for your great attention, ladies and gentlemen. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.